Learning about technology-facilitated gender-based violence was a new experience for me because I did not understand typically how I understood cyber law, I guess.
I believe because this is cyber and it's not the physical world, very many people are not informed about the seriousness of technology-facilitated gender-based violence. They just pass it off.
I did not particularly see that there was a space where people could have such harassment and not even be able to speak about it because of the ignorance revolving around it.
This training was only for basically students who are doing cyber law, which was a very, very small group of people. So some of us had the concern of what about the rest of the students? How will they get to know this? Will they wait until fourth year?
This whole thing of spyware, surveilling on someone. Personally, I didn't even know it was wrong to follow up someone. You're following their lives and they don't even know.
One of my colleagues in class called me and she was crying. And she's like, "You're feminist, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, what's happening?" And so she tells me an unknown number that she suggested may have been from the bar that they exchanged numbers with, had contacted her and said, "Hi, I'm in Mukono. You promised that I would come see you at your hostel." And then he asks for her picture. So she made the mistake to send a picture of herself. And then he blocks her and calls her on a different number and says, "I'm at your door." There was really no one at the door, but she was scared for her life. So she calls me. So the first thing I did was call the police. And guess what?
Did they pick?
No. Oh, they did not pick.
So we have taken that step as student leaders to invite Femtech and educate students more about TFGBV.
Hi, good day to you all and welcome to the Claiming Space Online podcast. My name is Turiho Danita and I'll be your host for this conversation. So, over the last few months, Femtech Law Initiative, with support from the African Women's Development Fund, has run a series of trainings across various universities in Uganda, from Cavendish University to Uganda Christian University, Mukono and Kampala campuses. So the focus of this training has been digital rights, digital safety, and this thing called TFGBV, or Technology Facilitated Gender-Based Violence. Basically, all the ways women, girls, men can be unsafe online, from impersonation to stalking to harassment to hacking, and what exactly one can do about it. So today I'm having a conversation with a number of young ladies who partook in this training, would have a conversation in particular. I use that language very particularly because it's not going to be one of those stiff interviews where someone gives us a review of what they learned. We want to understand their experiences, what exactly they're doing with this information, how exactly it changed their lives, and how exactly they perceive it's going to change the lives of the people that they interface with going forward. So before we go any further, I'm going to give a chance to these absolutely brilliant young women to introduce themselves, from my extreme right coming inwards. So please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Flavia Muhomuza, and I am from Cavendish University, Uganda. I'm pursuing law and I'm in my second year.
Nice to have you, Flavia.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Drusilla Deidre Anyo, and I'm from Uganda Christian University, Kampala campus. And I'm also pursuing a bachelor's degree in law, and I'm happy to be here.
If the third person is a lawyer, I'm going to sense a bit of a bias in this room.
There's no bias, I swear, but I am a lawyer. Hi, everyone. My name is Ms. Wanichan Vanessa Ikoru. I am a third-year law student at Uganda Christian University, Mukono main campus, and I'm super excited to be here.
So before we go any further, I just want you guys to tell me, why did you go for the training? I know from my experience in uni, there were so many things that came up and, someone would say, oh, there's this training happening, or there's this meeting happening. And guys, the number of times I left my bed is very shameful. So why did you guys go for this particular training?
Thank you so much for that question. Personally, I love women. I am a feminist. I'm not a man-hater, but I'm a feminist because I love women. And anything to do with women's rights, anything to do with uplifting women, focusing on what really disturbs us in the societies, whether it's cyber world or the physical world, I am really intrigued to join. So once I read about Femtech, and then when we went for the training and what I gained in the training, definitely I had to subscribe. I had to be part of it.
Yeah, so Drusilla, picking on from the response Flavia had given us, when you when you decided to go for this training, did you actually have an idea, like more of what I would call less of a street side idea of what the digital rights space involved, what TFGBV was? Did you find that there was a lot that you learned that you did not understand before? A lot of things maybe you had been brushing off as just the way the internet is before you had actually interfaced with this training. Did you actually find that you learned of a whole new world, so to speak?
Thank you so much. So when I went for this training, I actually learned so much. I didn't know that Femtech actually even existed. I was so grateful for that opportunity to learn that Femtech existed, And I also got to learn that, because after the training, I went back and did some research and also found out that technology, gender-based violence mainly affects women. And we see that very many women leave the social platform after they have been affected. And our question was, what happens to them after that, So this program and the training enabled us to find solutions to these women that have faced all these challenges. So the program was really, really helpful.
So what was it in the program itself that stuck out to you? Was it the different forms of TFGB? What did you understand TFGBV would to be as a result of the training, and the way different ways it manifests? I know from my experience, maybe there's stalking. A lot of us have interfaced with non-consensual sharing of intimate partner images. I think that's something that's really common in universities. At least it was in my day. I don't know if it is still in you guys. I graduated last year, but please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So there is nothing that really stood out for me so much, because these things keep evolving. It's just that in our generation, it keeps getting worse, and then there are no laws or reforms that have been put there in order to regulate this technology-facilitated gender-based violence examples, So in the training, what stood out for me is the fact that we have measures to come in order for us to reduce these examples of these TFGBVs, For example, things like, let me say, cyber stalking and so on. You could put on your privacy settings in your social media platforms that you could be using. Yeah, so those are kind of the things that came during the training that I got to know of. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, Vanessa, I know personally about you that this is a space that you've interfaced with quite a bit, from women's rights to particularly TFGBV. And so I would just like to know just a bit more about your experience as a student with this knowledge of TFGBV. I imagine you have interfaced with people who have experienced it directly, and you have been placed in a position where you have to advise them, give them some semblance of direction. So take me down one of these instances, the one that maybe sticks out the most to you. I can tell you about 1,000 that happened while I was in school, but I would like to know about what happened with you.
Well, like you just said, I have had space. I have been in the space, and learning about technology-facilitated gender-based violence was a new experience for me, because I did not understand typically how I understood cyber law, I guess, but I did not particularly see that there was a space where people could have such harassment and not even be able to speak about it because of the ignorance revolving around it. So one of the things that stood out, I think that was last year, one of my colleagues in class called me and she was crying and she's like, "You're feminist, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay, what's happening?" And I'm like, "I need your help. There's a man." And I'm like Flavia said, she's not a man hater. I am aggressive when it comes to the topic of men. Do not put a man in front of me. And so I was immediately, I want to say aroused, but not particularly like that. And so she tells me how an unknown number that she suggested may have been from the bar that they exchanged numbers with, had contacted her and said, "Hi, I'm in Mukono. You promised that I would come see you at your hostel." And she asks, "Who are you and how did we meet?" And he sends her a picture of himself, which was different from his DP, right? Because the DP was a dark-skinned man, and the image was a rather light-skinned man with lots of hair and a beard. And then he asks for her picture. So she made the mistake to send a picture of herself. And then he starts saying that, oh, you're the slut I slept with in the bar. You're the girl I met at the bathroom. And that's why I should come over. Let's finish what we continued, etc., etc. And she was shaking because she did not have any information or clue that she had actually done this in the bar a week before. And so she checks the name of the person on the Airtel app because it shows the name, and the name was different from the name under the WhatsApp as well. And then he blocks her and calls her on a different number and says, I'm at your door. There was really no one at the door, but she was scared for her life. So she calls me, and at that point, I did not know what to do because I had never imagined that we would have a situation like this. And I was ignorant about the policies in the university and how to handle this. So the first thing I did was call the police. And guess what?
Did they pick?
No.
Oh.
They did not pick. And when they eventually picked, they did not understand the issue. And like, so is this her boyfriend? Is this not her boyfriend? Is this a man? But you girls, you just sleep around every time. And I'm like, okay, we're not solving the issue. You cannot be throwing this around. But eventually, when I did call UNET, and they told me that you have to have that phone brought in as evidence, she was unwilling to do that. Because again, you see, your phone as a university student is very vital to everything you do. And for you to hand it over there's a pain that comes with it. And so she decided to let it go. But she was never the same. You can see that she went off her Twitter, she went off her Snapchat for about 2 months, and she was only on WhatsApp, only because the class group is on WhatsApp. But it changes you at a point, and it makes me feel like I wish I had, and so many other people had known the policies that can guide us through things like that, because by then we did not know, and we probably lost someone to a mental health crash out because we did not know.
Now, post-training, how would you have handled that differently? So
we had a talk with the university. Uganda Christian University has a police post inside the university. And so we did take the initiative. Last Thursday, I think, was International Day Against Hate Speech. So what we did is that we wrote to the administration to allow us to speak to the police, particularly because I realized then that this was not the first time we're having a TFGBV incident in the school. And the police were not aware of how to handle it. And because very many university students are scared to go directly to the administration, because, I mean, it's a Christian university. If you're going to take an issue about nudes, they're going to say you. If you're going to take issues about a relationship breakup or something like stalking, or my ex-boyfriend is stalking me, they're going to take you to counseling, or they're going to make you feel like you are the perpetrator in this moment. So we spoke to the police, and they understood that they have a file now where they get to particularly look at TFGBV issues. We did explain to them just the nitty-gritties of it, like, oh, stalking, oh, this, or that. But I know...
Can you explain to me what exactly you explained to them? Like, when you say stalking, this, because I would like... I'm presuming some of our viewers might not understand, but then I think this is a bit of an educative space as well.
Thank you. So we looked at particularly 3 sharing of intimate images. Yeah. That one they were quite familiar with because they had received those complaints before. We looked at stalking, which was basically if someone feels like they are being... something is wrong with their accounts. It looks like hacking, but they know they're not probably being hacked. If anyone senses that there's something different about their social media accounts that they cannot particularly pinpoint, then they have to come and say, oh, this is normally how the flow of my algorithm is. But right now it has been doing this. And also I suspect because I had a bad relationship or a toxic thing or someone's trying to get out at me, I think this needs to be looked into. And then we also, it was difficult to explain to them the concept of making memes and stickers out of people because they didn't see it as a problem. They're like, oh no, but you're young people. You're just, it's amusing, right? Like this is what you people do with technology. But it's actually wrong because I do have to confess I have made a sticker out of a lecturer before. I hope I don't get but we had I had to confess that, but I learned the point is and so we had to explain to them that as much as it looks amusing, this is actually something wrong because if they make a sticker out of you and you are looking like a cabbage or whatever you're looking at, your self-esteem at that moment, it's going to be difficult for you to come out in public because there's a sticker moving around thousands of students with you on it.
I'm going to bring the conversation back to you. As you've experienced the training, post-training, and I imagine you've attempted to explain what you learned to certain individuals, what did you find? Vanessa has hinted at the fact that one of the things that she found most difficult for the people to perceive in regards to TFGBV was the fact that they viewed it as more of an amusing thing. Something has to be visibly or maybe even physically threatening or, very, I don't even know which language to use, but I think you understand what I'm trying to say. But the threat has to be more visible, more for someone to take you seriously. So there's a sense of dismissiveness in regards to TFGBV. In particular, because you have things like online harassment, you have things like deep fakes where an individual is just going to use your image to create other images of you, some of them in very compromising positions. But even though it was not very compromising, the basic concept of consent is that I must give it for you to actually be able to do it. And so if I do not give you consent, then it's still problematic. But the concept of consent seems to be something we're struggling with a bit. So as you've attempted to explain it both to your peers and to other people within the institution and outside, what have you found to be the most difficult thing? Maybe you could give us like an experience, a personal experience you've had, or otherwise, like let's say I had this conversation with my friend after, and she thought, I'm not really seeing the problem. Maybe, or whatever your experience might be. Go ahead, Flavi.
Thank you so much, Danita. Yes, I believe because this is cyber and it's not the physical world, very many people are not informed about the seriousness of technology-facilitated gender-based violence. They just pass it off. Yes, they get hurt when it happens to them, and then they just brush it off. And I think we need to, now like the students who have undergone this training with Femtech, we do need to reach out to these people. We do need to tell them. We do need to reach out. And then one thing I learned in the training that really touched me was this whole thing of spyware and, surveilling on someone. Personally, I didn't even know it was wrong to follow up someone and you're following their lives and they don't even know. Much as I knew it's happening, I didn't really think it was that wrong. But now the training really enlightened. It really taught me. And I'm so grateful for that.
Why didn't you think it was wrong? Like, now that you look back at it and you actually analyze yourself.
Same thing. If it's physical, it's very different from the cyber.
Yeah.
So I think the majority, just like, majority think something has to be physical. You have to show some proof, maybe scars or something, but you can't examine someone's brain or their emotions to know how deep they've been affected with something.
So explain surveilling to me a bit more. So you're the person surveilling me and I'm being surveilled.
Maybe your desk, I implant something or anything, like how they give us an example of someone's car was being surveilled by their spouse and then the wife had no idea. It is actually wrong. It is immoral. It's not even the law criticizes it. Yes, so that's one thing I learned from the training that I went with. And I believe we have to reach out to students and tell them that, it's not good to follow up someone's life in any form. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us, I think, have gone down some period where you at least stalked someone. You might have some emotional...
A crush, probably.
A crush, probably. And then it's just borders obsessive at a certain point. It was because I wouldn't call it stalking. I was thoroughly looking into someone.
No, girl. No.
I was thoroughly. And that's when I discovered LinkedIn reports you.
Yes, it does.
Because this person only posted on LinkedIn. And so one time he messages me and he goes, I can tell when you look at my page. And I was like, no, it's not that deep. I was just... and we all do that. But some of us, I think, take it a step further because you might just scroll through someone's page. And so, based off of the training that you experienced, where do you now draw the line between I am curious about you and now I am entering your personal space? So where do you feel like you now draw the line as guys who are now more trained, more informed? Yeah, so Drusilla, if you could just, I hope I elucidated as well as possible on that.
Yes, you did. Yeah, thank you. So personally, how I draw the line is how often do I check this person's profile? You know, if in the morning I'm checking, afternoon, evening, night time, like everyone now you're checking because social media platforms like TikTok and also LinkedIn show you that so-and-so has viewed your profile. Then again, after, let me say 5 minutes, so-and-so has viewed your profile, you know? So if I continuously do it, that will now show that I'm actually stalking this person, you know, and that's not good.
Do you think it matters what you do with that information? I mean, you could stalk the person for your heart's sake, like just to know that, oh yeah, this is where they're at. And then did you think that it matters what you do with that information, just having it versus using it for something else? Because I know guys who actually say, oh, she's here right now, let me just go, take a look-see at her.
Okay, so I think it actually matters because, I mean, why am I checking this person's profile every after 1 hour? You know, what if I have the motive of maybe going to badmouth them after? That wouldn't be good. But if it's to see maybe it could be my role model, yeah? And maybe I want to see how they are better, like getting their lives better, you know? If it is for something that is good, then I think that is very, very okay. But if it is for something that is bad, like the reason why I'm stalking the person is for something that is bad, then no, that's wrong.
I guess now the question is, who decides what is bad?
Yeah.
Or what isn't bad? I mean, when it crosses over, this is the thing about TFGBV, and I think the training touched on it, is how it can cross over into the physical realm. And so now the question is, are we measuring how bad it is best of the crossover to the physical realm, or the crossover from the physical to the online realm? Because I presume a lot of us are waiting for that to happen. In regards to the administrators that we interface with, the police officers that we interface with on a personal level. And so now my next question in regards to TFGBV is whether or not you believe, and this is coming to you, Vanessa, whether or not you believe that it is something that even right now is taken seriously. I know we've said that it isn't taken seriously, but I would like us to understand a bit more from an administrator's level to police level to your peers' level, what exactly it looks like.
Well, that's an interesting question. I think we have stated quite clearly that it's not common. We didn't say it's not taken that seriously, but it's not commonly looked at as something that deserves so much attention. Like I said, because normally if the victim is not painted as a perpetrator, then the victim just doesn't even want to take it on and say, oh, I was harassed, I faced this, and how is the society going to look at you? Even if you have something like a student's nudes or a random person's nudes going out, how much courage do they have to report this? Even if we had the best policy guidelines and the best responsive administrators and informed police, trained people, supportive peers, how hard would it be to get this person to say, this is what happened to me. Here is my phone for the evidence. This is what happened. These are the nudes in question. This is my body. And this is the person. I think the training, one of the things that I appreciated more from the training is that we got to have so many people learn about the different kinds of TFGBV. And now you see that one of the things that I believe is vital when it comes to erasing a vice or anything like that is erasing the concept of ignorance of that vice. So you have so many university students and so many other different people learning and appreciating the modes of technology facilitated gender-based violence. And I think that's a very good start. With whether it's taken seriously or not, you have so many people understanding that, hi, there's this actual concept. There's another world, like Flavia says, there's a cyber world. There's actually a world where these things happen. And like you said, it crosses over sometimes. Particularly, I cannot particularly say that we're going to have such a spike in progress of how people respond to it. But I do have to be optimistic enough to appreciate that the number of people that now have information and knowledge about the topic of technology facilitated gender-based violence can spread that knowledge around. And we just have to have hope that they can be effective with using that information for the greater good of society.
So you perceive that a number of the people that were partaking in this act did so from a place of ignorance as well?
I do think so. Like I just confessed, I did not know that it probably isn't particularly right for me to make a sticker of a lecturer or a student. But then again, I did not think, I was too myopic to see that, if the lecturer, if a lecturer sees it, I'll probably be suspended or anything. If a friend sees it, that's a different consequence. I don't see how this is going to affect them. I don't see the later effect of my actions. And sometimes they all play along with it. So it's not particularly just ignorance, but I think mostly it is.
Okay, that's interesting. So now that you are here, you have some semblance of experience on the matter. What is your intention? What do you intend to do with the information that you have?
One of the things I appreciate about institutions and schools in particular is that we have student representatives. And before you get to the administrators or even the director of students affairs like we have in UCU, you have guild representatives. And even before that, you have class captains and class representatives. For you to be able to move this motion and say, we're going to protect whoever gets assaulted, even in a class group, like they bring your sticker into a class group, for you to have a support system first with your peers. Mm-hmm. Because maybe if you go up there to the DOSA or to the administration, you won't be taken as seriously. If you go with a team, they're going to see that, it's not just one person. This is actually a student's affairs matter. And I think it's a very good space to have peers that are educated and learned on these things, and somewhere that you can run to out of a place of safety and out of a place of people who are going to be there with you and say, if this can happen to you, it can happen to me. They can make a sticker out of me. They can make a sticker out of anyone. And we're going to go through with this process. We're going to take it as high as we can to make sure the perpetrators are caught and we never have something like this again. So my first move is definitely engaging my peers and the guild representatives and everyone else in a leadership position so that they understand that their job and what they signed up for is to represent the students, and every student matter is their matter as well.
Okay, Drusilla.
Okay, thank you so much. So I actually serve in the Students Guild, and what we have put into one of our plans, actually, God willing, this semester is to have a law symposium. We have actually gone ahead to submit the letter to the dean, and this law symposium, we are also inviting Femtech to bring more awareness to the other students' body, because this training was only for basically students who are doing cyber law, which was a very, very small group of people. So some of us had the concern of what about the rest of the students? How will they get to know this? Will they wait until fourth year to have this training? So we have taken that step as student leaders to invite Femtech and educate students more about TFGBV. Yeah.
Okay then. Please go ahead, Flavia.
Yeah, thank you. I am the current president of the Rotaract Club of Cavendish University, Uganda. And I know that through my club, through my office, that is a very good avenue to preach, to bring this notion and this idea of technology facilitated gender-based violence closer to students through my club members and of course to the larger group, because I believe we have a very big number of students that belong to Rotaract Cavendish. So what we can do is to get we fellowship on Thursdays. So what we can do is to get some Thursdays and have this as a topic of discussion in the fellowships and ensure very many students attend these fellowships, not just Rotaractors, but a student's body, and we preach. And I think the best thing is to even invite probably Yasmin, Beatrice, or anyone in FemTech to facilitate these talks so that indeed students can really see that it's not just a physical world that someone can register violence that is gender-based, but also the cyber world.
That's very interesting. And I see that a lot of you tag it to leadership positions, and I get the concept. How many of you are in the training in each of your different universities? No, like how many people did you estimate attended these trainings?
The training was held during examination time.
Yeah,
in Cavendish. So students were not so many. It was just in teens. It should be like in tens, like 40, 50 students.
40, 50.
Mm-hmm.
And you?
Like 70.
70?
Yeah.
Averagely 60, 70.
Averagely 60, 70.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at numbers. I mean, that's a very good number to start with. And I remember my experience with engaging leadership in the university was a bit hard. So have you maybe looked at the different individuals who attended the training and seen how you can all come together to do something specifically for the students as those who are empowered mentally? I mean, with the information now, and, has it crossed your mind? Have you guys met after the training? Have you interacted with each other after the training to see what you can now do to sort of diffuse the information, but more than diffuse the information, diffuse yourselves as a safe space now for other students to engage with? Is this something that you've been doing? Is it something that you have? Is it something that you have? I'm asking. So have you guys met after? What does the dynamic look like now?
Is that for me?
Yeah, I'm looking at me. I'm looking at you, but yes, Vanessa.
So I've worked in this space before, and my activism story always entails writing articles on X, formerly Twitter, on different feminist platforms, but even speaking about it in class, like to say when you're on the topics, very touching topics on international law or jurisprudence or the Ubuntu, the concept of living together, you do speak about these things. However, we also did petition to have an article written in the Standard newspaper, which is a university newspaper, to explicitly explain what technology-facilitated gender-based violence is.
So when you say we, you mean you and
yes, we
the
did meet.
students,
Yeah. A few of us, about 5-6 of us.
Well, that's lovely.
Yeah, who actually like to write. Yeah, so to write about that, because like you said, the concept of diffusing, and like I explained, this information has to go. It has to be channeled to other people. We have 60, 70 people, and they can be able to diffuse this into almost about thousands, 1,000 or few of the students there. So we are looking forward to the next publish of the Standard newspaper, and also using our social media platforms very carefully to be able to take this message out so that whoever sees it understands that even if you don't have to read the whole thing, for you to know that there's something called technology-facilitated gender-based violence is enough. Like when you hear it again, you'll know like, oh, I heard about this. And you'll probably be interested the second time because I've heard about this so many times. I've seen it on her status and her status. What the hell is this? And then you'll read about it. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Okay. So apart from the invitation letter, we haven't really sat down as a group to see how we can bring this into reality. Yeah, that's the honest truth. But
I love that.
Love that backing you into a corner, I guarantee.
Yeah. So, but after here, surely. But one thing I noticed is after the training, specifically the cyber law students, there's a way people are keen with throwing information here and there. Yeah, that's one thing at least I noticed after the training.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really, really love that. Flavia, please go ahead.
Thank you. Like I mentioned earlier, we had this training during exam time, and after that, normally it's break off. People go for holiday. But one thing I can base on, I can like get a hold of is our registration, because every student who attended the training did have their names registered and signed at the entrance. So of course, with the students' leadership, that was the guild. I believe he did attend. I'm going to look out for that register, and then I follow up with the students who attended once the semester resumes, and then we can start from there.
Okay, great. Okay, sorry, I know it seems like I'm backing you into a corner, but I'm so invested in seeing how this entire thing unfolds. But more, let's bring back the conversation. I would like to be real right now with all of you. As people who were raised online back in my day, I really I love using that statement because 1 year can really mean a lot in the online space.
Yes, it can.
When we were growing up and until much recently, the most toxic space for any woman to be in was Facebook. Oh my gosh, you guys, you won't believe the number of Facebook perverts that I interfaced with growing up. Of course, this is not a conversation of why I was on Facebook growing up.
Why were you on Facebook?
we were all online. Mm-hmm. I know there was that thing of our parents saying that no, you shouldn't be there. But I also don't think our parents had grasped how dangerous a world this was. And so now in this day and age, what do you guys think is the most, I would say, toxic or dangerous platform that you use or you've interfaced with, and what makes it so damn toxic? Flavia has something to tell us.
I believe X is the worst. X is very it's very toxic, especially in the comment section. Mm-hmm. Not even in the comment section, like posts on X. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And like we need to do something about it. It's so toxic, and then body shaming, because it's also part of, TGBV. So X, I can say that for sure.
Do you still use it?
By the way, I'm off X right now. Yes, I'm so dormant. And I'm not going to come back because I'm being pressured by, of course, my club. Yeah, by my public image chair. But I really took like a real back step off X. I've been very fine with my TikTok, Instagram,
you're
and
not
Snapchat.
The first person to tell me that they were driven off X. Like, that's actually wild. And I had had so many stories about Snapchat, so I thought you guys would be like, yeah, guys, Snapchat.
Oh my god,
Snapchat
is interesting, but it's not as toxic as X is, because you have such a wide platform of people of different age groups, and you have, oh my god, I've been driven off X before. I've had an X scandal before. Really? Literally in the activism space. So there was, I cannot mention names, they'll come back and drive me off again. But we did have, in the activism space, you do have the prominent big dogs, I'll call them that. And there was a season where they were taking advantage of the young law students, particularly during the start of the new era. And so you had the big dogs come and fetch little girls like me, who were so intrigued and excited to be in law school and wanted to make a change. Yay, I want to be the difference in the world. And you have these men use you in particularly not always sexual, but for them to expose you to unsafe spaces without protection or caution. And then for you to find out later that it was not just you and your friends. And they go on X to try to defend themselves and say, no, it was you. No, it was you. And I'm in the middle with my girls being used as human shields for men who just wanted to deny and not take accountability for their actions. So it is very toxic. Snapchat will come, but if you've noticed, Snapchat stories come very fast. Like if you're slow, you remember the time when what was it? The Anita Mong saga was coming on. And so you had Anita Mong, then you have Namere being swept up, then you have tabs, and then you have all these things. Like that speed at which you're moving is what Snapchat usually is. Snapchat is like all the time. So you have an octopus there, and then you have this, and then you have that. And so eventually it fades.
Yeah.
But with X, it remains there. Like I can go back to 2024 and I'll see those tweets.
Yeah. I had someone say Ugandans go through life at 120 what the hells per hour.
Yes, we do. 120 is too little though. That's exactly how it is. So Snapchat does not have permanent record of these things. But with X, you will go back to 2007, 2008, 2000, just last year, last week, and you will find the thread still there. You cannot delete it all. You cannot take it all. And they take this from X to other spaces as well. So it's more toxic because of the fact that it stays.
Yeah. It's interesting. You know, I'm an X diehard, and one of the things that guys on X are always complaining about is the fact that we receive information last.
Yeah.
Someone will be having will be making a joke, and apparently it came from TikTok, and none of us are on TikTok.
Yeah, normally it comes from TikTok. Yeah,
because of TikTok, it came from Snapchat, and you're like, but what? And then everyone is on point, and the rest of us X folk have to catch up, and maybe that makes us a bit more insidious. Yes, we're taking it up, and no, but X is a particularly diabolical platform. Yeah. And I think because I think someone was telling us a story earlier about Weird Confessions, Uganda, and I'm dropping that name here. Drusilla, I think it was you that was telling us a story before we started this about their experience, and maybe you could share with us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so this was a gentleman who had stood for guild presidency at our campus, and then it was like a way of decampaigning him, because people usually go there to like decampaign others, in order to get the numbers. I mean, they're going to badmouth you and say whatever they want to say, and they take the voters. So they go on Weird Confessions and they say sorts of things about him, how he's sleeping around with girls in the university, how he's doing all sorts of generally it was sexual things. It was nothing tribalistic towards him. It was mainly sexual things. So this is something that is very, very it's very, very bad.
So how did it affect him? What happened?
How it affected him, his self-esteem, because he's not going to be looked at as the same person. Specifically for us who have been there from year 1 to 4th year, we carry on the story, and definitely people are going to keep talking about it. Oh, do you remember? So it's something that is very hard to deal with. But the saying of men don't usually like to how do I say, get help from elsewhere, and they'll sit down and try to condense, all that information, and then they'll be like, but that's life, let me move on. I'll never participate in leadership again, But it's really, really something that is very, very sad. But he told me that he also went ahead to look for the admin, because this was, I think, a WhatsApp group. I don't think it was on X.
It is a WhatsApp group.
It's a WhatsApp group. He went ahead to look for the administrator of that group, and then he asked him you're posting all this information about you. Were you paid? What exactly is going on? And then the guy tried to maneuver through, change his contact and all that. Unfortunately, he passed away.
Oh yes, I remember this. I remember the admin passing on. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
And so now this has a permanent, unchangeable record online.
Well, for him, I think he's satisfied with
the
death. Because you reach a point, because he told me he reached a point and he's like, what punishment does this person deserve? Because people never forget everything that has been written about him, only to find out that the person actually passed away, and you're like, oof.
Yeah, but the record remains.
Exactly.
I know. So it's a little...
I think it's a gray area, but what more can you do?
May his soul rest in peace.
Exactly. But then you bring up a very interesting point, which I think I would like to touch on very briefly, which is about how men and women experience this type of TFGBV differently. Because I think most of the cases I've heard of TFGBV are women experiencing it, and at the same time, if it's two individuals who, let's say it's non-consensual sharing of intimate partner images, I noticed that women are particularly targeted. And my presumption was always that, society is just... And the women were always the most vocal in regards to their defense, if they put up a defense or not. And the men, it's like they were sort of brushed off, or women were... Or they didn't even bother much in regards to putting something out. And I had always presumed that it was because we didn't care much about the man that was involved in these things. And now you bring up a new angle of how women, and because now what you're telling me is that this guy just sat with it. Yeah. He attempted to behind the scenes deal with it, but not more outwardly deal with it. And so now I'm thinking all these men that I've seen who are experiencing it, maybe they're actually as disturbed by it, but they have decided to deal with it in a different way. But at the same time, I don't think it takes over from the fact that I believe society perceives them differently. So what I'm trying to get at is, have you also, how has the difference between men and women experiencing TFGBV on a university level, how have you interfaced with it? What has it looked like to you? So I'm going to come to all of you, starting with Vanessa and then going.
We had a similar, so she's from Kampala campus and I'm from Mukono campus, and we did have something a little similar to that, particularly. So it almost looks like the men are targeted only when it comes to positions of power or influence, and they bring up sexual dirty laundry to try to make them, paint them as bad people. And as much as I'm feminist, I do believe that part of the people who bring up this dirty laundry are women as well. So we had a circumstance similar to that where this particular person was running for guild president last year, and we had claims that girls said that he had sexually assaulted them. About 3 girls said that. And then one male particularly came to me and said, oh, that particular person is gay. He has slept with me before. And I'm like, are you sure? Because I'm not judging, but like, you two don't look like, he doesn't look, you're not his type. Even if he was, you're not his type, honey. But you can see how far people can go to try to defame a person particularly. And they took these to the online spaces because he had to step down from the the guild presidential run, and go to an MP of, I'm not going to say the faculty. But in relation to how women face it, most of the time, as much as it's also interconnected to the sexual side of this, for them, it's a sort of revenge strategy from their toxic partners. Please stay away from men. Men don't like you.
This is an inclusive space.
Yeah, but anyway, you do have so many instances where women's nudes and intimate photos, where both of you consented, are made to look like it was her being the slut or the whore, or just showing off her body, like close your legs. And you have women in the comment sections of these spaces, if it goes to X or whatever, saying, you're embarrassing us, you're a slut, you're a whore, close your legs, didn't your mother teach you better? But this is all to shame a woman. And I think that's the basis of the misogynistic and patriarchal society we live in, because it has always, when it comes to the concept of sex, the women have had it so hard for who you sleep with, how you sleep with them, how you please them, how you dress, who you impress. Everything almost revolves around the woman. And you are shamed for choosing to have pleasure with whoever you choose to have it with. And I'm not particularly saying go have premarital sex and fornicate and be a bad person, but I am saying that the decisions you make should not be held over your head and turn you into someone who is a disgrace to society, because you're not sleeping by yourself. You're sleeping with a male partner. Okay, most of the times. You're sleeping with a male partner. And why aren't the men shamed? Why aren't they called man whores? Or I don't even know what they call a man who is What is the opposite of slut? I don't know. But that shows you how most times it's the women who face the shaming. And what does this do to the esteem of this woman? What does this do to her mental and psychological state for her entire time in the university? Does she come to class? Won't she fail? Can she stand up? Won't the lecturers know, oh, you're giving an answer. Oh, you're the one who did not come for my class last time. That's why your nudes are everywhere.
What lecturers are these guys? This is mad. Does this actually happen?
Girl,
I have never. Maybe
now I know why you
classes.
say back in my day.
This is.
But yes, because we don't have, there are lecturers who are actually present, whose online presence is strong, so they do get to see these things.
No, I don't doubt that they see it, but the level of that's like actually vitriol when someone decides
Welcome
to
to
praise it like that.
2026.
Damn, welcome to 2026 indeed. I'm glad it's ending.
We have like 5 months to go, but yeah, sure. But that gives you a background portrayal, a flip chart or a board to show you that the rate at which, in comparison to the two existing and socially accepted genders in our country, which one suffers the most and which one is normally brushed off. And it sucks to be a woman when it comes to situations such as that.
Thank you. Drusilla, please.
Okay, thank you once again. So I'm trying to really see what's the root cause of carrying all the shaming and so on towards like the women. Because I mean, if it was like a nude video and both people are there in the video, why does it go down to the woman? So I think this goes back to our backgrounds, where we are raised from, yeah. And remember, it's a woman that raises us, So, and these women, when they're raising us, in most cases, they're going to concentrate more on the women and sort of like be like, the boys will figure it out on their own, So if only we the young girls who are coming up and the mothers of tomorrow, if only we would adopt this thing of including also the male gender to respect the women, that do not just, for example, if a woman is going through all that stalking and like harassment because maybe her nude was released and so on, like be that one gentleman that is going to stand out and be like, no, you gentlemen, what you're doing is wrong. I mean, that video had both genders, so like stand up and also like protect the women, I like guys that advocate for the women's rights, because if it's only one gender advocating for one gender, people are going to be like, you guys don't like the men and so on. But they are also not coming to help us, the women, so that's one thing. I think it goes back to our backgrounds and how we are raised.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Flavia.
Okay, thank you, Danita. Now, just like she said, I don't know why, even like, I don't have the statistics right now, but if you're to think in your head, roughly, there are more stories about nudes for women that are published more than for men. And yet, indeed, normally, it's an act done by both the men, the female and the male. So it's like society puts more emphasis on the ladies and they don't really care about the men. And it's just unfair. It's just unfair because it was enjoyed by two people and now it's the lady that is receiving more backlash. So I think we need to change that. We need to change the mentality. We need to fight harder, yes, for this to prevail.
Okay, guys, as we come to the close of this discussion, we've had a very lovely conversation about this training that you guys experienced, but then also your real world and online experiences as you walk through this incredible digital age. And so now I would like to drive the conversation towards what you like, as you give your closing remarks to this conversation, what you'd like to see different in regards to your online and university responses to TFGBV. And so I'm just going to bring in the conversation from Flavia again, coming into Vanessa, and then we shall call it a conversation. So your closing remarks and also that particular response to that question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Femtech. Thank you so much to our host Danita and my fellow panelists. This was really, really beautiful, this conversation. Now, what I would want to see at Cavendish University is more student leaders and more students, actually, the general students' body, to know what it means to engage in technology-facilitated gender-based violence. Let them know that it's equally as bad as the physical. And beyond the community of my university, I believe our laws, just like our Penal Code Act, is not so diverse in this. It's also focusing on the physical world and not on the cyber world. I believe we need to really put more emphasis in the legal framework, laws that do what? That curb down technology facilitated gender-based violence. And then I'm so grateful that through the training, we had a police representative who taught us that there are avenues of where we can report these cases, and people are unaware. People don't even know that maybe if this had been committed around Kira, where will I go? Which police will I go to? So we need to train more people. We need to tell them that, by the way, anything that is related to this technology facilitated gender-based violence, you can reach out to such and such a police station, and you can maybe use this number to call so that people receive help, and indeed they know that this is equally as bad as the physical, so that they step back from anything related to technology facilitated gender-based violence.
Okay, thank you so much, Flavia, and thank you so much for joining us today. Please go ahead, Drusilla.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank the hosts. Thank you so much, Danita. Thank you so much, Femtech, and everyone for giving us this opportunity. So what I would like to see in my university is I would like to see that they, looking for the word, like they would like to incorporate in the Students' Code of Conduct, technology gender-based violence forms, and they should also stipulate their punishments, because in our Students' Code of Conduct, it's not there, and yet people are actually facing these challenges. So if there is actually a punishment for a law, I feel like people actually hesitate to actually commit these crimes, and there'll be less victims of these crimes. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
She literally took everything, because it's like the same university franchise. But like I was gonna also say that we do not have it particularly in our Students' Code of Conduct. And if we can start from there, from appreciating that it actually happens and exists in our institutions, and placing it in the Students' Code of Conduct so that people are aware. But also, I think if you're ever gonna fix any major problem, you do start with yourself. Strengthen your passwords. Be careful about the people you share your intimate images with, and just generally be careful, but also educate yourself on knowing which avenues and platforms to take these issues to, because I'm not going to say that even if you are careful to the brim, it's always going to happen to someone. And even if it doesn't happen to you, for you to be able to understand that this has happened to someone else, and to be able to help them and make them understand, for them to have that chain of help and information keep going. Peers, information travels very fast, especially through the youth. So if you help someone here, I remember the time when Makerere University was having a sexual harassment issue that traveled everywhere. Like, we were advocating for a sexual harassment policy in UCU as well. We're like, if it can happen to them, it's definitely going to happen to us. So that chain of information and help and assistance needs to continue, but it starts with us. And I'm grateful that the women on this panel and I and so many other people were privileged to be part of the training. It starts with us, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all. It starts with us indeed. So first of all, thank you so much, ladies, for joining us this day. I think your input has been fantastic, and I look forward to the great things, the amazing things that you'll do with the information you have, and with the zeal and resilience and determination that I think I and the rest of the viewers have sensed from you today. We'll be holding you to this.
I won't make any more stickers, I promise.
We thank you on behalf of all your lecturers. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the close of this particular conversation. Thank you for joining us and sticking to the very end. As you can see, Femtech Law Initiative, with support of African Women's Development Fund, it continues to do amazing work around imparting the next generation of women and men with the knowledge on TFGBV, technology-facilitated gender-based violence, digital rights, digital online safety. And this is amazing work that will continue to ensure that safety of individuals is a priority for each and every one of us. The conversation today is one that does not end here. It definitely continues into our different spaces. First of all, starting with personal accountability in regards to how you interact with individuals online and how you carry yourself online as a person, and the different steps that you can take to be safe. And so as we leave this engagement, our one request, our one ask of you is that you be the person you would like to interface with online. Thank you for joining this conversation, and thank you again for sticking until the very end. My name is Turiho Danita. I have been your host. Have a lovely day.